Hello everybody, we are here to have another exclusive podcast for Explore at XLRI Jamshedpur. I'm Rupali Jain, I'm a part of the General Management Cohort of 2026 at XLRI Jamshedpur. And here we are today with Mr. Pushkar Vadkhalkar. Pushkar is a founding team member at BDO Executive Search and he's a highly respected professional in leadership hiring. With over a decade of experience in technology, consumer and global capability centers. He partners closely with C-suite leaders, startup founders, and boards to drive strategic hiring initiatives. Pushkar, it's really lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, and very kind of you for the introduction as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, so before we start with the heavy questions, we'll first have a little bit of a rapid fire.
Okay.
So that our audience gets to know you a little bit more personally. So with these, you can have like one word or one sentence answers. Okay. So if you're ready, we'd like to start.
Yeah.
Okay. So one book, movie, or podcast that shaped your thinking or influenced you in some way.
So I'll probably take a reference of a movie because I'm a Bollywood buff.
Okay.
This is a 90s movie of Amir Khan, Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar.
Lovely.
Lovely title and an underdog story of how one can work hard and be successful. So yeah, probably that's influenced a lot.
Lovely. Okay, so what's a professional mantra or quote that you live by in your work or life?
It's probably never say never.
Okay.
Don't back out of challenges. I've been a sports person through my life, through childhood. So probably that never say never is the mantra.
That's wonderful. That's really nice. Okay, so since you're in the leadership space, what's one belief about leadership that you held early in your career which has changed now?
See, I think one thing you believe early as a professional is, as a leader, you need to be perfect and knowing everything.
Right.
You can't say no as an answer, but that probably evolves over time. And today I'm more comfortable telling my team and people that probably I don't know a few things that they ask for.
Fair enough. That's a good one. Okay, so, because we're talking about you now, what's the one thing that people, especially your audience, would be surprised to know about you?
I've got a incredible appetite to take setbacks, failures and rise. That's come through personal and professional experience. So that kind of maybe surprises many a lot of times when those setbacks hit me. Okay.
All right. Okay. So who's the one leader that you actually look up to?
See, generally, I think I take inspiration from many of them because everyone brings a different thing to the table. But if I have to pick one, it has to be MS Dhoni. I referred to him in the panel discussion as well. So that's one person I look up to as a leader.
That's lovely. And since we're talking about leaders, what's your leadership style?
Authentic, I may say. Being an authentic leader, I think really helps.
That's lovely. Okay, so since you're talking about authentic, what's the one most critical mistake that you see professionals in their mid-careers make which prevents them from jumping into a C-suite role? It's the biggest one.
I think many of them at that juncture, and nothing right or wrong about it, probably take career shifts or professional decisions which are more led by monetary gains in the short run.
Fair enough.
Versus roles or organizations that will truly help them build something meaningful. So probably that's where that stagnancy comes in and maybe hinders them to get into leadership roles in the future.
That's really insightful. Thank you for that. Okay, so the last question, but it's a three-parter. So for the young leaders who are listening to us, what are 3 key things that they should prioritize to become search ready for a leadership role?
One, to be search ready, I think your digital footprint and how you put yourself out there in the larger market, I think that's very critical. You can't be shy and sitting in a corner presuming that people will notice the work you're doing. So to be search ready, one, be out there and present the work you're doing.
Okay.
Second, very early in your career, pick up the right roles, don't chase titles.
Okay.
Monetary gains are important. One has to pay their bills, but don't make that as the primary driver of making decisions on career choices.
Fair
and
enough.
Third, I think pick a role model or a mentor. It could be your parent, it could be your sibling, it could be your boss, anyone, but make them your sounding boards along the journey so that they can help you avoid the mistakes probably they would have done early in their life. So yeah, I think probably those three things.
Fair enough. That's really good. Thank you so much for that, especially the first one. I don't think people think about that at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so now that we're done with the rapid fire, we can delve into the serious stuff. But before we kick that off, I would like to know a little bit more about you. So our audience loves to get to know the personal journey of the people we're speaking to. So feel free to delve right into your childhood or whatever that you want to share with us. But the main thing that I want to understand is, what was a defining pivot that made you choose this particular field of career that you are currently in?
Got it. So quick background, I've been born and brought up in Mumbai. So education, most of my professional journey has been in Mumbai.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I've been very outdoorsy as a kid, pursuing a lot of outdoor sports. Started my career in an iBank, then went on to do enterprise tech sales with a large consulting firm. But then I got into this very, very well-renowned recruitment firm. And the first 6 months made me realize that probably search is my calling.
Okay.
Primarily because the impact that this profession helps you create, one, on organizations that you serve, but more so on the life of candidates that you help find their next dream job, right? And in my first couple of months when I had my first placement, hearing that from somebody who says that, thank you for helping me find this opportunity, it gives you purpose. A very big purpose, so that has kept me going, and probably that's the pivotal journey of why I decided to be in the profession of search.
That's lovely. So since you were talking about that, I would like to understand, what was the unique gap or something specific that you saw in the market which pushed you towards getting into this space and actually founding such a executive search space for yourself?
So look, it's definitely a market which has been served by a lot of global players and couple of boutique ones as well, but largely serving enterprises, multinationals for their leadership team build-outs. The gap we saw is the next decade and beyond belongs to India as a growth
that's lovely
story.
to know.
And I mean, you have such amazing founders here on the panel today.
Right.
There are so many founders who are building exciting businesses. There are so many small and medium enterprises who are quietly building out of remote towns like a Jamshedpur or a Indore or a Bhopal, or even in big cities like Bangalore, Mumbai or Delhi. They have the idea, they have the right mission, they have the right goal, but probably they are starved of that opportunity to be able to attract good talent.
Fair enough.
Predominantly because they are not the page 3 brands that one aspires to work for.
Right.
So that was our mission, that if we can build a very strong search business that serves these startups, founders, Indian enterprises, truly attract top leadership talent and advance on their goals, I think that probably will be a very good mission to work on. So that's how we started.
That's lovely. So you are a trusted advisor to founders, like you just mentioned, and you worked with startups and established businesses as well. So when a CHRO or somebody on a founding team is looking to find somebody in a startup versus a CHRO looking to find somebody within an established organization, what is the difference in the advice that you give to these people, and what is the difference in the kind of leaders you're looking for these people?
So for startups, look, I think the traits you look for are slightly different, and hence the advice is different, right? You want to look at people who believe in your vision as a founder and are willing to put their hand up and do much, much more than just their core job or go beyond the job description. People who are very, very invested in your journey and can think more long term. Right, so the traits of evaluation are slightly more different in terms of getting more executors, doers, people who enjoy taking up more than what they can chew.
Right.
But for a large multinational, you want to look at leaders who have proven track record, who can build systems, who can build processes, you can build for scale. So very different personalities. Now there are a small subset of talent who can beautifully fit into a startup as well as a large enterprise, but more often than not, and both have their own strengths, but many a times I think the talent pool is very different on who works for a startup. They may not work in a large enterprise, and vice versa.
Fair enough. So since we're speaking of people who may have some common traits, I want to understand, so you've had a focus across technology, consumer and GCCs, right? Are there attributes you look for in a leader within these sectors which are vastly different, or are there universal traits that you look for within leaders when you're looking to help people hire from the market?
See, many things will be different because one, domain expertise and skills would vastly differ for each of these industries.
Fair enough.
Number two is the organization's context and how those leaders or founders look at talent in their orgs would also differ.
Right.
So what a company A would want and look for in a leader could be very different from what company B wants. But some of the commonalities in leadership stay constant, right? Like one, high levels of ethics and integrity that's consistent, whether it's a startup or a large
Very
multinational.
important, yes.
High growth mindset, extremely important. Whether you're small or big, everybody wants to grow. Third, operating in ambiguity and driving change management, very important as a leader, irrespective of the size of the firm. And possibly fourth is leading with empathy.
That's very important, yes.
Very, very tough trait to imbibe, and probably these are things that one takes up through their childhood, on how they're raised as well. But very important as a commonality to lead with empathy, because at the end of the day you are walking into an office where there are humans. So if you can't address the human aspect of your business, probably you're never going to be making that company successful. So these are 4-5 things which are common. The rest is very contextual depending on the organization.
Fair enough. This is a really nice answer as well. It's very important to look into the empathy side of things. We've been taught this multiple times here as well. It's you reiterating is also very helpful, because people who are listening to you will actually understand it's an actual real world thing that we need to imbibe in ourselves, not just something we're learning on paper.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll move a little bit away from this now. So your current role, it involves increasing market penetration through new business development as well, right? So what is the most effective strategy that you've experienced or employed to acquire a new high value client in the executive search space?
So for us, business development is very different, right? Because when we are serving CHROs, founders, CEOs of large organizations who are looking at talent strategies for leadership hiring, they've gone through those journeys themselves, so they know quite a lot more as well. Right? They've experienced it firsthand. What works very well for us, because we are a consulting or advisory or service-led organization, is identifying the problem statement they're trying to solve for today and giving anecdotes or real solutions on how they can plug those gaps in their business through the right talent strategy. So I don't have a product to show a demo and make the pitch successful. It's more about market intelligence or helping them find answers to gaps which they are not able to find on the talent and the people side of the business. If we can authentically present that to a client, more often than not they trust in us, and then we would win that mandate from them. So it's more intelligence, it's more authentic advice than anything else.
That's lovely. So since we're speaking about advice, you also advise CXOs on career transitions, right? So for a successful CXO contemplating their next move, what is the most important factor they often overlook when weighing a new opportunity, apart from the monetary thing, because we've already spoken about that?
And this is for a CXO?
Yes, for a CXO who's successful, what is something that they overlook when looking for a career transition?
Okay, so I'll probably tell you a couple of times where I've seen probably somebody as a CXO take that plunge into their next move and not working. And probably one common theme is many a times at that seniority or stature, people move organizations or take up new roles in newer setups through a reference. The reference could be of an ex-colleague, the reference could be my ex-boss 10 years back who was amazing, today is asking me to come and join here. So context could be different, but many a times then they don't deep dive into the nitty-gritties of exactly the organization, the role, the mandate they are signing up for, because it's purely on trust factor of the reference wanting them to come into the new setup. That can sometimes be a double-edged sword, because if that move does not pan out as anticipated, it kind of derails their journey, and then to get back into a role again meaningfully becomes a slightly difficult task. So That's probably something many have seen overlook, and I always advise whenever I speak to my leadership candidates that you may want to move organizations purely through references, but do your due diligence as you may with any unknown entity or organization that you're signing up for. So the references are good to have, but don't blindly sign up for something without reading the condition supply part of it.
Very, very important. Okay, so we're speaking about consulting and how different this type of consulting is. And usually when we have the conversation these days, our conclaves, even in person, artificial intelligence is something you can't really skip. So we've had situations and events that we have discussed how it is changing the consulting space. But I want to understand, how is artificial intelligence or the use of it or the lack of it or whatever changing the consulting which is specific to your domain, the kind of consulting that you do? Is it changing? How is it changing? What kind of things are changing? Those things I want to understand.
No, definitely it is changing and changing for the good, whether it's consulting or any other domain. I would, rather than use the buzzword AI, I would say technology adoption.
Fair enough.
If one is not doing it any industry, they are probably killing their organization or brand. So definitely it is impacting in a very positive way, rather enabling our business. So a lot of our tasks now get automated. A lot of the insights we derive as part of the search process now come through technology and AI.
Right.
But still, what consulting, that the core of consulting is giving that human touch, the relationship, the instinct aspect of the business that can only still come through a human. So that we want to keep as a core, which will be driven by a search consultant. But many of the other things where today we feel artificial intelligence can enable our clients to get better outcomes, we are proactively imbibing that as part of our business model.
Fair enough. And what are some ethical guardrails or things like that that you've established within the firm which sort of help you navigate this space in a much better manner while being, ethical in our operations and how you interact with the clients or how you process their information?
So look, you've realized that technology can many a times be a double-edged sword, right? And you hear of so many sophisticated cyber attacks that our digital footprints are always compromised in some shape or form.
Definitely.
Now we are in a business where every candidate tells us very, very intrinsic things about their career, their personal journeys, their professional journeys, which they want us to keep it to ourselves.
Definitely.
And those become our guardrails of how we leverage technology in our business to make sure that at any point in time, none of this data, whether it's conversational or whether it's part of our database, gets probably compromised and leaked out to an external third party without the consent of the candidate. So
that's important,
we've put some guardrails on, and that's where I said AI is great, but there are parts of it we leverage it. There are parts we don't consciously because the human touch needs to be there.
Definitely.
And in our business, it's more contextual to the intelligence that we gather about individuals, which they share with us in all confidence and privacy. So that cannot get leaked out to the market tomorrow.
Right. That's really important. Yeah, you, I think, encapsulated that thing in a very, very nice manner. So I'd like to understand that if you had to distill all of your experience up till now and then give some pieces of advice to students of XLRI Jamshedpur that you've interacted with, seen, having a conversation with right now, to have an impactful and a good career that leads to a leadership role and actually a good career which gives you fulfillment throughout your life and beyond, what would that be? What would those advices be for us at this point of time in our career?
So maybe one or two things, and these are more my experiences than anything else. I don't want to be a philosopher here. I'm a big Shah Rukh Khan fan, and I've heard him say in one of the forums in large university that first be rich, then be a philosopher. So I'll give you one or two things that have worked for me.
Yes, of course.
One is definitely, while you are a specialist in one or two areas and you want to continue to build depth in that subject, whether it's finance, marketing, supply chain, if you want to be a leader for tomorrow, try to get a hang of all the other critical functions of any business also. Try to get that exposure. Try to understand how sales works. You're a finance person, but if you don't know what's working for the sales guy to win or lose a deal in the market,
Right.
you may not become the best CFO in the organization.
Fair enough.
If you are a CHRO or you want to become a CHRO of an organization, but today in your people strategy, if you don't go and speak to your finance people, legal folks and understand, okay, what do they think about performance management, what do they think about L&D, you may
Right.
not become the best CHRO.
Yeah.
So one is expose, become a specialist in one or two areas, but also try to get a generalist view of the overall business of how an industry works. So that primarily I think is the single most thing I would tell any student today who's and bright minds like you all who are graduating that campus, that pick a subject of choice, but always try to understand the overall business context. Pick those stretch projects or passion projects in your organization where you have an opportunity to raise your hand.
Right.
It may not mean anything for your current role. It may not have any impact on your next appraisal or promotion, but trust me, 5-10 years down the line, you'll be more holistic in terms of understanding how a business works. And if you see some of the large organizations, right, how Unilever creates their entire program for budding leaders in the organization, or General Electric, they want their people to transition into every function,
Right.
work in multiple geographies, take up stretch projects, and those are the people who actually rise and become country leaders or CEOs or CXOs
Right.
of the firm. So probably that will be the single biggest advice.
That is wonderful advice, I must say, because it sort of gives the person listening to it direction, a sense of direction as well, that, this is where I can sort of anchor myself and go towards working and actually have something which I can hold on to as a piece of advice. That's really, really wonderful. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to ask you one last question. It's going to be an interesting one, and I want you to really think about it before you give me an interesting answer. I'm looking for an interesting answer.
Okay.
So, if your career was a case study, because we do a lot of those in our classes,
Yeah.
what would be its central dilemma and key insight?
Wow.
Yeah.
Firstly, I must say that's a very good question. Probably first time I'm hearing a question in any of the podcasts that I've listened to also. So
I'm
very
glad.
well done on your research on creating curated questions. Central dilemma and interesting insight.
Yes.
Central dilemma in our profession is, look, I technically have, as a search firm, two customers to serve.
Right.
One is the client, which is the hiring organization, which is paying for the service.
Right.
And there is a candidate who's looking for their next opportunity, right? So many a times there is a central dilemma where the client wants us to derive a certain outcome
Right.
out of the project, whereas the candidate might want a certain different outcome.
Definitely.
Right? And many a times we have to play that role of a matchmaker to help that partnership happen.
Right.
So that becomes a central dilemma of life and career day to day, where you balance the agenda of your hiring organization,
Right.
and the motivations that are driving your candidates you're presenting to these clients for these opportunities, right? And then it's a complex one, but that keeps you going, that helps you be on the feet all the
Right.
time. Central insight, I would say, is probably I'll tie it back to my professional mantra, which is never say never, right? Central insight has been that life is always, whether you're a founder or a corporate professional, it's going to give setbacks.
Right.
There are going to be times when your back is against the wall and you feel that I probably should give up at this time. But then at that point, if you just stay calm, take a breather, take a step back, and probably rise again, that creates great leaders, that create great founders, great organizations. So central insight is always about, rising to the occasion, owning up the setbacks, and then, coming out of it very, very strongly. But I hope I answered your question to the best.
Oh, you answered it wonderfully. Yeah. I was looking for interesting and amazing insights, and you gave both of them very beautifully. Thank you so much. It was amazing, amazing, amazing to have this conversation with you. You gave wonderful advice, you gave wonderful insights, and you really answered my last question very, very well. I'm really happy to have you here, and I'm really happy to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much for taking the time out for this.
Thank you so much, and you've been an amazing host and incredible work done with the research on the subject and the questions put together. So thank you to XLRI and to you for having me on board.
That's lovely. It's
Thank
really
you.
nice meeting you.